Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Juta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavansha Shri Rupam Chakrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tvam Sajivam Shadaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Vande Side. Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Branja Jana Nandana Yashodanandana Branja Jana Nandana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Sadasyamat Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavindra ki jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Prem se kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Se Advaita Gadadhar Sivas Adi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Sri Sri Radha Krishna Go Gopinath Sam Kund Radha Kund Giridhardhan ki jai. Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Navadvip Dham ki jai. Swami to Bhaktivinoda ki jai. गंगा माई की जय, जमुना माई की जय, तुलसी देवी की जय, भक्ति देवी की जय, स्वामी तो भक्तवृंद की जय. All glories to the assembled Lord. All glories to the assembled Lord. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. So the following is a class on the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 2, Verse 11, given by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, recorded on 22nd of October 1972 in Vrindavan. So that's Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, chapter 2, verse 11.
Vavidastatvam
Vadanti tattvavidastatyam
Jagyanamodvayam
Jagyanamagvayam
Brahmeti Paramatmeti
Brahmeti Paramatmeti
Bhagavaniti Shabdyate
Bhagavaniti Shabdyate
Vadanti tattvavidastatvam
Vadanti tattvavidastatyam
Yajgyanamodvayam
Jagyanamagvayam
Brahmeti Paramatmeti
Brahmeti Paramatmeti
Bhagavaniti Shabdyate
Bhagavaniti Shabdyate
Vadanti tattvavidastatvam
Vadanti tattvavidastatyam
Yajgyanamodvayam
Jagyanamagvayam
Brahmeti Paramatmeti
Brahmeti Paramatmeti
Bhagavaniti Shabdyate
Bhagavaniti Shabdyate.
Brahma iti,
Brahma iti,
known as Brahma.
known as Brahma.
Paramatma iti,
Paramatma iti,
known as Paramatma.
known as Paramatma.
Bhagavan iti,
Bhagavan iti,
known as Bhagavan.
known as Bhagavan.
Shabdyate,
Shabdyate,
it's so sounded.
is so sounded.
Translation. Learned transcendentalists who know the absolute truth call this non-dual substance Brahman, Paramatma, or Bhagavan.
Vadanti tattvavidastatyam Jagyanam adhyam Brahmeti Paramatmeti Bhagavaniti Sambhava. So, the absolute truth is realized in three different features according to the capacity of realization of the person. Those who are trying to approach the absolute truth by exercise of the senses, they can reach up to the point of impersonal Brahma. Those who are searching out the absolute truth by meditation, by mystic yogic practices, they can realize the Paramatma feature of the absolute truth. And those who are engaged in devotional service they realize the absolute truth as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Actually, we have to reach to the point of personality of Godhead first. Before that, Brahma realization and Paramatma realization, that is partial realization of the absolute truth. Because Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Brahmana aham pratishtha. The impersonal Brahma is resting on Krishna. Just like the sunshine. Sunshine is very all-embracing, widely spread all over the universe, the sunshine. But the sunshine is resting on the sun glow. We see the sun glow localized. It is floating in one corner of this universal sky, but the sunshine is covering the whole universe. That does not mean the sunshine is more important than the sun glow. And if you can penetrate within the sun glow, then you will find there is sun God. That is also mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita. Imam vivassati yogam praktavan aham abhayam. Krishna says that this yoga system, Bhakti yoga system, as they are mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita, it was first explained to the sun god, Vivasya. The Shastra gives us the name of the predominating deity of the sun god, sun glow. Just like any gentleman can know or give the name of your president, Mr. Nixon. He might not have seen, but he knows that the present president of USA is Mr. Nixon. Similarly, actually, those who are in knowledge, they know who are the predominating deities of the different planets. They know. And not to speak of others, Krishna, who can know better than him? Vedaham samititan. Krishna knows past, present and future. So he is saying that imam vivassati yogam praktavan aham abhayam. This imperishable yoga system, Bhakti yoga, it is imperishable, abhayam. This very word is very significant. Bhakti yoga is imperishable. Other yoga system may be perishable, but Bhakti yoga is not perishable. Whatever you execute in this life, Bhakti yoga, that becomes your permanent asset. So that in the next life you can begin from the point where you ended in this life. If you can finish in this life 100%, that is very nice. If not, suppose you have finished 50%, still it is permanent asset it will never be lost. Therefore Krishna says, Abhayam, inexhaustible. Imam vivasati yogam praktavan aham abhayam. So, here we find that the absolute truth is realized as Brahma, Paramatma and Bhagavan. Bhagavan is the ultimate, the last word in the understanding of the absolute truth. Unless you come to the point of Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. Bhagavan means original Bhagavan is Krishna. Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. All other Bhagavans, their expansion, plenary or part of the plenary expansion of Bhagavan Krishna. Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. So, in the spiritual world also, one has to go farther and farther until he reaches to the point of Krishna. That is ultimate progress. It is said therefore in the Bhagavad Gita, Baunam Janmanam Ante Jnanavan Mang Prapadat Vasudeva Sarvamiti Sa Mahatma Sudurlabha. After many, many births, understanding the Brahma understanding is certainly transcendental. But because Brahma is only partial realization of the absolute truth, only the eternity. The absolute truth is eternal, blissful, knowledgeable, cognition. So, Brahma realization means realization of the eternity portion. Paramatma realization is knowledgeable. Paramatma knows everything. Paramatma is present in everyone's heart and he knows everyone's activities. But actual realization, complete realization means Ananda. Sat Chit Ananda. That Ananda realization is in Krishna realization. Anandamaya Abhyasa. Krishna is by nature jolly, always full of bliss. You have seen the picture of Krishna. He is always Tibanga Murari, with two hands, with playing on flute, surrounded by the gopis, enjoying. That is blissfulness. So, Brahmeti Paramatmeti Bhagavaniti Sabdate, step by step. But if you approach Krishna and try to understand him through devotional service, then automatically you understand Brahma and Paramatma. There is no need of separate endeavor for understanding Brahma and Paramatma. Anyone who knows Krishna tattata, in fact, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Manusyanam sahasreshu kaschit jatati siddha. Jatatam api siddhyanam kaschit viktiman tattva. So one has to know Krishna in tattva as he is. So, this tattva means accept the process of devotional service. Tattata, Krishna as he is cannot be understood by the other methods, namely by mental speculation or mystic yogic exercises. Krishna cannot be understood in that way. If we want to understand Krishna, then we have to accept the Krishna method, Bhakti method. That is plainly spoken by Krishna. Bhaktyamam avijana. Krishna does not say that you can know him by mental exercises or yogic practices. No. Yogi can know tadgata manasa pasyanti yogina. Dhyanavasthita tadgatina manasa pasyanti jang yogina. Yogi also, by meditation, they see Krishna. That is real yoga. As it is explained in the Bhagavad Gita, the first class yogi is he who always thinks of Krishna within himself. Yoginam api sarvesam madgata antaratmana sadhyaman bhajati jumam samijutta tamo mata. That is first class yogi. So, you are thinking of Krishna by chanting Hare Krishna, because the more you practice, immediately with your chanting, the name, the form, the quality, the pastime, everything will be revealed. As we go on cleansing our dirty heart by chanting Hare Krishna mantra, and as we chant faultless, offenseless Harinam, Krishna reveals. Sevan mukhi jivado sameva spuratat. By service attitude, if you chant Hare Krishna mantra without any offense, then Krishna will reveal himself. You cannot try to see Krishna by your speculation or yogic practice. If you simply, submissively, surrendering yourself, chant His holy name, there is no difference between Krishna's name and Krishna. Avinnatyar namanan. People generally ask, what is the meaning of chanting this Hare Krishna mantra? We explain, chanting of Hare Krishna mantra means immediately, directly associating with Krishna. One has to approach Krishna by yogic practice or mental speculation for many, many births. Bhaunam janmanam ante. They can come to the conclusion that here is Krishna. Vasudeva sarvamiti. But if you take to this chanting of Hare Krishna mantra without any offense, then immediately you contact Krishna. It saves so much time. Why should you wait for many, many births? That is the gift of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It is in the Shastra. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu does not give you anything which is not in the Shastra. He is Acharya. Although he is God himself, he can make Shastra. Whatever he does, whatever he speaks, that is Shastra. But still, because he is playing the part of Acharya, he immediately gives Vedic evidences. That is the way of Acharya. Acharyas will never say, I think, it is in my opinion. No, such things are not accepted. No personal opinion. It must be supported by Vedic evidences. That is called parampara system, genuine system of understanding. As Krishna says, evam parampara praptam mimang rajasayo vidi. No change. Therefore you are presenting Bhagavad Gita as it is. You do not change. We have no power to change. Then where is the authority of Bhagavad Gita? I am a third class man, and if I change the statements in the Bhagavad Gita, then where is the authority of Bhagavad Gita? That is going on. Therefore, it is practically, you have got experience that there are hundreds of Bhagavad Gita editions in the Western countries, but because we are presenting Bhagavad Gita as it is, our sale is better than all others. That is the report of the trades manager of Macmillan Company. He says, while other editions are dwindling, going down, this edition is coming up. They published this present enlarged edition of Bhagavad Gita, 50,000 in the month of August. They are going to print again, second edition, August, September, October. So, the reason is that if we present things as they are, it will be accepted without any adulteration. Sometimes, people say that I have done miracles. They say everywhere. But I do not know anything, miracles or magic. If there is any miracle, that miracle is that we present things as they are, that's all, without any adulteration. So that should be the principle. Present as it is, it will be accepted. So Bhagavan, Brahmeti, Paramatmati, we do not present Brahma Jnana. Brahma Jnana automatically comes if one is conversant with the knowledge of Krishna. Then he can understand that this Brahma effulgence is the bodily rays of Krishna. Jasa prabha prabhavatu jagadanna koti. Kotishu asesha vasudhadi vibhuti bhinnam tad brahma nishkalam anantam asesha bhutam govindamadi purusham tamang vajan. So we immediately understand that this Brahma Jyoti, impersonal effulgence of Brahma Jyoti, is the rays of Krishna's body, Jasa Prabha. Krishna also confirms this in the Bhagavad Gita, Brahmana aham pratishtha, aham sarvasya prabhava. Krishna says everything is emanating from him. The Brahma is also emanation from him. Paramatma is also expansion of Krishna. So therefore, if you understand Krishna, tattva, jumang diti tattva. So tattva is that Krishna, the absolute truth, is originally a person. Nitya nityanam, chetana stretananam. He is the supreme, eternal. Nitya. He is the supreme living being. As we are living beings, living entities, Krishna is also a living entity. He is not a dead stone. He is a living entity. And as we have got all the propensities of living entity, he has got all the propensities of living entity. Here we have pervertedly, a young boy likes to love a young girl. A young girl likes to love a young boy. But where from these natural propensities come? Because it is there in Krishna. Aham sarvasya prabhava. So there cannot be any question of impersonalism. Because by studying the sample living entity, you can understand the chief living entity. Krishna is the chief living entity, supreme living entity. So we are samples. Whatever propensities we have got, Krishna has also got. But we have got in a limited proportion, Krishna has got unlimited proportion. Let's take the same example. The loving propensity, Jupatidang Jathajuna, this is natural. But we may finish, because it is perverted, we may finish these loving propensities within time and space. But Krishna's loving propensity is not finished within time and space. It is eternal. That is the difference between Krishna and ourselves. So, if we actually study Krishna, the Bhagavad Gita is the Krishna science, and it is further explained in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So the Srimad Bhagavatam is explaining in tattva, in fact, in truth, what is Krishna. So if we learn Krishna, if we understand Krishna, then our life is fulfilled. Tattateham punarjanmanaiti mameti kaundeya. This is our only business. Try to understand what is Krishna, what is Bhagavan. Jasmin vijñāte sarvamedam vijñātam bhavanti. If you simply try to understand Krishna through authorities, through Krishna, through acharyas, not mental concoction, manufacturing something. Krishna should be understood through the authorities. Krishna's love affair with Radharani should be understood through the authorities. Not that because we see Krishna is just like a young boy, Radharani is a young girl. If we see her, it is very nice. Of course it is very nice. But if we do not try to understand Krishna through the authorities, we shall be misled. Therefore, in the beginning, one should not try to understand the loving affairs of Krishna with the gopis. Then, because it appears like ordinary dealings. But if we do not go through the authorities, we shall take Krishna as an ordinary boy or man, as it is warned in the Bhagavad Gita, Avajananti manamudha manusim tanuvas. Because he is acting just like a young boy. And if we do not try to understand tattata, vadanti tattata vidas tatyam, in fact, in truth, through the authorities, because here it is vadanti tattata vidas tatyam, tattavid. Jai Krishna tattavid, tattavid, that's hey Guru. So, Guru means Krishna Tattvavid, one who knows about Krishna. So, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he explains about Krishna, Krishna explains about himself, the Goswamis, Sarva Goswamis, they are explaining about Krishna, and in their parampara system, the acharyas, they are also explaining Krishna. See, if we do not go through these tattvavids, then we will misunderstand Krishna. Therefore, Narottam Das Thakur said, Rupa Raghunatha pade hoibe akuti, kabe hamo bujhava se jugalapi. All of a sudden, if you become a knower of the jugalapiriti, love of Radha Krishna, then there is chance of becoming fallen. There is chance. So we should badanti tattvavidas tattyam. We must approach the tattvavid, one who knows the truth. Through them, through him, we should try to understand Krishna. Not simply by... therefore they are committing so many mistakes. Even scholars like Dr. Radha Krishna and others, they are committing so many mistakes. Because they do not go through Tattvavid. There are so many political leaders who are commenting on Krishna's book without knowing Krishna, without any knowledge of Krishna. Just see their impudence. Without knowing Krishna, they want to make trade with Krishna. That is not very good. You cannot make trade commodity, Krishna as trade commodity. You cannot handle Krishna by your whims. Let you be handled by the Krishna's whims. Then you will be successful. Then my Guru Maharaj used to say that don't try to see Krishna. Do something so that Krishna may see you. That is what. If Krishna, if we can draw little attention of Krishna, jat katakha bhaivavatam, katakha bhaivavatam, Prabodhananda Saraswati says. If you somehow or other you can draw little attention of Krishna, your life is successful. Immediately. And how you can draw? Bhaktivedanta Manor, simply by serving Krishna. Take service, take to service of Krishna as it is ordered by the spiritual master, because spiritual master is the representative of Krishna. We cannot approach Krishna directly, just saprasadat bhagavat prasada. If you have bona fide spiritual master, representative of Krishna, it is also not very difficult. Everyone can become representative of Krishna. How? If you simply carry the message of Krishna without any adulteration, that's all. Just like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Amar Aggai Guru hai. You become a spiritual master under my order. So, if you carry out the order of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Krishna, then you become Guru. Amar Aggai Guru hai. Unfortunately, we do not wish to carry out order of the acharyas. We manufacture our own ways. We have got practical experience how a great institution was lost by whimsical ways. Without carrying out the order of the spiritual master, they manufactured something and the whole thing was lost. Therefore, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, stresses very much on the words of the spiritual master. Vyavasatmika buddhi rekiha kurunandana. If you stick to the order of spiritual master, then without caring for your own convenience or inconvenience, then you become perfect. Jasyadevi parabhakti, jatha devi tatha guru, tasyaite katita jarta prakashanti maha. This is the confirmation of all authorities. We have to carry out very faithfully the order of the bona fide representative of Krishna, then our life is successful. Then we can understand Krishna in truth. Vadanti tattva vidas tattva. We have to hear from the tattvavid, not from the so-called scholars and politicians. No. One who knows the truth, you have to hear from him. And if you stick to that principle, then you understand everything very clearly. Thank you very much.
Jai Lois.
Om Namo Bhagavate Va.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So, thank you very much. Thank you for the opportunity, and as usual, facilitating dear Srila Prabhupada's class, a huge opportunity for me. So I'll start off with, obviously, this is the questions all about being mindfulness in the class. So who's going to tell me what was the date and what was the month and where this lecture was given by Srila Prabhupada? This was repeated twice at the request of Prabhuji. Yes? Yes. And what's the date? Well done. Thank you so much. And from here, perhaps, tell me what verse Srila Prabhupada was talking about.
Canto 1, Chapter 2, verse 11.
Great, thank you. So, Srila Prabhupada started off talking about how we all learn in three ways, depending on our realization. So those are three words that he specifically used. Who's going to tell me about those words? Sorry? So Paramatma, yes, that was one. Brahman realization, yes. And then the important thing is? Yes, the absolute truth. So, sorry, Prabhuji, are we supposed to be using these mics? Is it? Sorry, I'm doing it first time. I don't really know. Okay. Oh, okay. Right. Okay, then. So whoever needs to speak, they would need to have a mic. So, okay. So then moving on, Srila Prabhupada talks about how we cannot get to know impersonal Brahman, and we cannot get, well, we can, the people who know the Paramatma feature and people who know Brahman feature, how can we know, is it through people who do know Paramatma feature, how do they know that? Do you recall what he said about, let me make my question a bit more clear. So, if you are going for Paramatma feature, what do you follow? And similarly for impersonal Brahman, what do you use that you end up gaining the knowledge about just Brahman or Paramatma? Anyone? Sorry, you have to wait for the mic.
Exercise of the senses,
Yes. So if you do,
Brahman realization.
yeah, so if you do senses, then impersonal Brahman. And if you do
Mystic
meditation
yoga,
or
yeah.
mystic yoga, then you automatically
Paramatma.
go on to Paramatma feature. So then Srila Prabhupada explains about to reach the personality of Godhead, how it is so important to get to know person. That is the important thing. So he gives an example of something that we have in summer every day.
Sunshine.
Yes. And does anybody want to explain what he said about the sun globe and sunshine? Okay, Prabhuji. Please.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Prabhupada said there's a sun person, sun planet, and the sunshine.
That's right.
The sunshine is like the Brahman, sun planet is like the Paramatma, and the sun person is Bhagwan.
Yes. Thank you so much. And then he demarcated as to how some people can only get knowledge. Some people can only get to know the eternal portion. So what was the Sanskrit term he used? Anyone? So people who just get knowledge, so he was mentioning that because the absolute truth contains all three, Satchid Anand. So people who do just Paramatma feature, they only get partial knowledge. They get knowledge, so they know who the Krishna is or who the person is. Like he gives the example of Nixon. Like everybody knows, but they don't know necessarily the whole thing, which encompasses Satchid Anand, which are the qualities of the absolute truth. Then he mentions how Krishna knows, there's a word called, what was the word he used which states Krishna knows past, present and future? There was a term Srila Prabhupada used. Anyone? It was, sorry? So it was Vedam Samatitam. So Krishna he knows past, present and future, and through Bhakti Yoga, because Bhakti Yoga, unlike all the other yogas, is imperishable. So that's why he said to us that we should go through Bhakti Yoga, and it can never be destroyed. Then Srila Prabhupada gave an example of percentage. So if we can meet 100% in this life, great. And if we do 50%, then what happens? Yeah, so it'll continue in next life. So it's never lost. It's something that is never lost, and he used word avyayam, inexhaustible. So then we moved on to Bhagwan, which is the ultimate understanding that we have about absolute truth. Krishna's tu Bhagwan Swayam, he mentioned 1:3:28, Etecham Shakala Pumsha verse. Then how he mentioned about spiritual world, one has to go further and further and further. So just like people who are doing something to get to Paramatma, great. Somebody who's trying to do absolute Brahman, impersonal Brahman, okay, it's better than nothing. But similarly, we have to carry on going further and further to the spiritual world until we get to know Krishna as a person. So we talked about the three elements, which is what Srila Prabhupada spoke about, Satchidanand, and then he used the word Anandmayo Bhasyat. What did he mean by that? Anyone? And he described Krishna as, yes, Prabhuji?
Pleasure seeking. Anandamaya Bhasyat means
Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Anandamaya Bhasyat means one is pleasure seeking.
Yes. And then he mentioned Krishna is very jolly, and he mentioned Tribhanga, Murari form, 2 hands on flute, and by trying to approach Krishna, only by devotional service, we can... Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Then he mentioned about Krishna Tattva. And he mentioned verse 7.3, like how Manishanam Sahasnishnu, that one needs to realize Krishna as in Tattvata. So by accepting the process of devotional service, we can do that. We cannot understand it in any other method, especially not by 2 words he used, mental speculation and mystic yoga. So he just said that as long as we can accept the method of Krishna, because method of Krishna, he said, is in Bhagavad Gita 18, what is the method, he says. The first class yogi, he mentioned there that he's always thinking about Krishna. So, Bhakta Mama Bhigya Jananti, like he said, you can't know Krishna by something else. He's mentioned Bhakti, he's mentioned Bhakt there. So through process of chanting, we can do that, which is what Srila Prabhupada's process has been given to us. We're so lucky. Because when we're chanting the names of Krishna, he mentioned a few things that happens. Because we are also then talking about Krishna's name, form, qualities, pastimes, and everything will be revealed to us. Then he said that how our heart gets cleansed by chanting. So long it is what? Who's going to tell me? Great. And there was another word he used, faultless and offenseless. So that's what he said. Then he gives an example from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu about service attitude. So we chant Krishna, he reveals himself only if you surrender submissively and chanting the name. Because there is no difference, like we just mentioned, in Krishna's name. Then one directly also gets to associate with Krishna. And once you directly associate with Krishna through chanting, you immediately, and then he mentioned about gift of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Who's going to say what Srila Prabhupada mentioned about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? The gift of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Acharya. Then he gave a definition of Acharya, remember? He mentioned that Acharya will not give you what is not in Shastra. So even though he mentioned Chaitanya Mahaprabhu didn't need to be, part of, he was God himself, he could have, but because he was in that role of Acharya, he always gave and supported everything from the evidence from Shastra. So the words that we shouldn't use, or Srila Prabhupada said, is I think or my opinion, never. But no personal opinions, nothing unless and until it's supported by the Vedic Parampara system. Then Srila Prabhupada talked about miracle that's happened. Anyone want to tell me what was that? He mentioned about book distribution, why Bhagavad Gita, as it is, was making a lot of more sale than anything else. He's going to tell me about that. So he mentioned that in August, 50,000, so this is 1972, so just in the month of August, they must have distributed or sold 50K books. And because he said the quality of his books there is no adulteration. And he's presenting it as it is. And then he mentioned about how once we have knowledge of Krishna, then we understand that the sunshine, so to speak, is the bodily rays of Krishna. And then he mentioned 10.8 verse. Who's going to tell me that? It's one of the key verses, Chaturshaloki. Anyone?
Sarvasam.
Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvita. And then he incorporated both these elements in it. He said Krishna tattva. So because Krishna is saying everything is emanating from me, so how difficult is it for us to understand that Paramatma feature is automatically going to be part of that Krishna person. Impersonal Brahman is also going to be part of Krishna person, like that. So he said, then he mentioned about signs of Krishna, how it's further expanded in Srimad Bhagavatam, the verse 4.9, Tvakta Deham Punarjanma. So how when somebody does service of Krishna and understands Krishna and his only business is to know Krishna, and he's knowing Krishna not just whimsically but through the authorities, through the acharyas in here, not through mental speculation, and then what happens, he never takes, according to that verse, he never takes birth, and in that verse. Then Srila Prabhupada went on to give a talk about Guru. He mentioned, who's going to tell me what was the words Srila Prabhupada used? It was Krishna Tattvavit, one who knows about Krishna. And then he mentioned Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, his authority, how you would go through Tattvavit, through that. And then we should approach them by knowing the truth and then understand Krishna. And then he mentioned about mistakes as well. Who can recall anything about mistakes that was said? He said, not whimsically. Then that's when we won't be able to approach, and do something that Krishna wants us to do. And then he mentioned 1855 again, how we should search for Krishna, serve for Guru, like they search for Krishna through service to, like Srila Prabhupada did service to his Guru Maharaj, and how spiritual master is the representative of Krishna, and how we cannot directly approach Krishna, and hence the reason we need a bona fide spiritual master who would faithfully, and make us sincere in our life to get to know this Tattvavit, which we should be able to hear. Then he said, if we stick to these principles, then you would be able to know the message of Krishna, you'd be able to know Krishna. And following on from Guru, and I'll just take 5 minutes because I couldn't believe it when they asked me to facilitate a class. I've never done it before, but because it's Guru Maharaj's actual disappearance day today, since 2020, 3 years on, I became a little courageous to come in front of you to hopefully speak about a Vaishnav Thakur that, exemplary life, and he kept doing everything that Srila Prabhupada was like his center, like we say Krishna should be our center. So the word sometimes they use for Guru Maharaj, His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami, is Prabhupada Nugas. They mention that because he was very forceful. When you went to his retreat, he would say to you, what did you enjoy? If you enjoyed, talk about how Srila Prabhupada's changed your life. And I used to think, what did Srila Prabhupada do for me? When I first went to his classes, I didn't know Srila Prabhupada. I just knew Krishna and Radha, and and then that makes you forcefully think, okay, why are we sat here? How is it that Radha Krishna is here? How is it that we've got a beautiful temple here? Then it automatically goes back and back. When you follow it, the penny drops, for foolish people like me, that what did Srila Prabhupada do? So Guru Maharaj had his way of making us realize. He was very passionate about how we served Srila Prabhupada as well. Last time he stayed with us in 2019, somebody made a garland for him, and it was so beautiful, and he loved it. And he said, something so beautiful should not be offered to me. It should only be offered to Srila Prabhupada. So he then made sure, he was flying out next day, he made sure that we actually preserved it overnight in such a way that after we dropped him off to airport, we came and we offered it to Srila Prabhupada. So this is how, even now, and I just think to myself, we were all so heartbroken when he left us. And I know recently Kadambakanana Swami Maharaj has also left, and what glorious departure he had as well. And of course, it's a very difficult time for all those people, because it's something that never ever anyone should go through, but we all know the reality is. And yes, there's always talk about, sunrise and sunset. They say it's all the same. But then, because Srila Prabhupada, Guru Maharaj was with Srila Prabhupada doing so many services. So I hate to think how he must have felt. I recall one time he said when they were actually doing samadhi for Srila Prabhupada, he felt he should not be coming out. He felt that distraught. And at the time, I couldn't understand that. But now, even knowing Guru Maharaj for a little bit, I realized that how he has spent his lifetime in service in a Vipralamba stage, serving his Guru Maharaj. But they say Bapu and Vani, but our Bapu, I just want to show you one thing that I have on my phone from the time I visited him in D-Land, and then I should finish. And a lot of people say, well, why did Maharaj go, this, that, the other. But when I went to D-Land and Guru Maharaj was like father, he showed us around where to rest in a room that he was in Stanford. And when he showed us to the bathroom and stuff, and obviously Rajesh Krishna and I, we couldn't even sit on the bed. It was a huge house and huge bedroom, but we sat on the floor. We couldn't even imagine sitting. And when I went into the bathroom, it said there, the will of God will not take you where the grace of God will not protect you. So a lot of people question, why would you go to America when it's rife with COVID, this, that, the other? But think about from that person who knows that Krishna is going to protect him. And if he's thinking Krishna is going to protect him, nobody can harm him. And when Krishna doesn't want to protect him because he wants him coming, so then he left how he left. And one thing that comes to my mind is, that verse about symptoms of sadhu. Guru Maharaj, I'm sure, in front of Srila Prabhupada, he wouldn't want me saying any of these things because he would rather Srila Prabhupada was always glorified. But that verse 3.25-21 comes to mind, which is Titikshava karunika suhridam sarvadehinam ajata shatva shanta sadhu bhushanam. So basically, symptoms of sadhu is being tolerant, merciful, friendly, to all living entities, no enemies, peaceful, and abides by scriptures and have sublime characteristics, which is all dear Guru Maharaj also had. On top of that, he was treating us like persons. So one last text that I had when we were visiting D-Land is dated 2019 August, and I have missed call on 6th of August, and his message to me is, for tomorrow's lunch, the menu is pizza, lasagna, sabge with sauce. Let me know if it's okay, because Guru Maharaj knew I was going with a group of devotees and we were trying to preach to certain things, and he was very kindly hosting the lunch. And he did, that's the bestest lunch I ever had. But when you have a Bapu like that, of course, Bani is always there, but that sweetness that we all miss. But we appreciate that Guru Maharaj has done so many years of service in separation from Srila Prabhupada. So Srila Prabhupada fulfilled his wishes when he wanted to go, although the whole world was praying for him to get better. So thank you so very much for listening and giving me opportunity to speak on this glorious day of Guru Maharaj's disappearance. Granth Raj Srimad Bhagavatam ki. Thank you. Hari Bol. Srila Prabhupada. Thank you. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Guru Maharaj ki jai.